How Megan Fox is reclaiming her power after Hollywood rejection. Once hailed as the sex symbol of the 2000s and the breakout star of Transformers, Megan Fox's career should have skyrocketed. But instead, Hollywood pushed her out. The shocking part? She was effectively blacklisted in her early 20s, after headlining a billion-dollar franchise. All because she dared to speak her mind. Branded difficult, ungrateful, and even crazy, Megan Fox became a cautionary tale in the entertainment industry. This is more than a comeback. This is a woman reclaiming her story of her power and her place at the table. Let's unpack how Megan Fox turned rejection into resurgence and why her journey matters more now than ever. The Transformers fallout. Megan Fox shot to global fame with her role in Transformers, but behind the glamour was a toxic set dynamic and a brewing controversy. In interviews, she openly criticized the hyper-masculine, chaotic energy on set and compared director Michael Bay to authoritarian figures, which quickly soured their professional relationship. The blowback was swift. She was dropped from the third Transformers film and unofficially labeled difficult. But here's the kicker. While male actors often earn respect for boldness, Megan was punished for speaking out. Her early exit from a multi-billion-dollar franchise looked like career suicide. But hindsight reveals it was the first act of rebellion in an industry that expected silence. It's a brutal reminder that challenging power structures can cost you, but it can also set the stage for freedom. Media misogyny and the crazy girl label. After her fallout with Transformers, the media didn't just cool on Megan, they turned hostile. Talk show hosts mocked her intelligence, tabloids dissected her body, and online discourse labeled her unhinged. She became a punchline in late-night monologues and a cautionary tale in celebrity culture. All for what? Being too outspoken, too beautiful, too assertive. The over-sexualization and dismissal of her voice revealed the deep-seated misogyny in Hollywood's media machine. Looking back now, even Megan herself has said she was gaslit by an entire industry, but rather than disappear, she went inward. She stepped away from the spotlight, focused on healing, and quietly began rebuilding her identity. Not as a product, but as a person. Her story is a powerful cautionary tale about how fame can eat you alive, but also how introspection can bring you back stronger. Resurfacing through independent films. Instead of chasing blockbuster validation, Megan shifted toward indie projects and lower-profile roles. At first, it seemed like a downgrade, until you realize it was a smart recalibration. Films like Jennifer's Body, which was initially panned but later gained cult status, were re-examined through a feminist lens and hailed for their subversive messaging. Megan's performance, once dismissed as shallow, was finally being appreciated for its layered brilliance. She wasn't chasing fame anymore. She was choosing roles with substance and edge. This phase wasn't flashy, but it was foundational. It allowed her to reconnect with her craft, experiment with tone, and remind the world that she wasn't just a pretty face, she was an artist. For anyone feeling underestimated, her pivot into indie cinema is proof that your most meaningful work often starts in the quiet corners. Owning her sexuality on her terms. One of the biggest criticisms Megan faced early on was that she was too sexy, as if her beauty disqualified her from depth or dignity. But in her resurgence, she took control of that narrative. Instead of shying away from her sensuality, she leaned into it on her own terms. Her relationship with Machine Gun Kelly, which became a tabloid obsession, wasn't just PDA-fueled headlines. It was a reclamation of female desire in its rawest, most chaotic form. She began talking openly about femininity, spirituality, and self-expression. And while some critics rolled their eyes, others realized she was finally saying what she wanted without worrying about male approval. It's a crucial reminder that owning your power sometimes means embracing the very parts of yourself others try to shame you for. Mental health advocacy and public healing. Megan has opened up about the psychological toll that fame and vilification took on her. She's discussed the anxiety, trauma, and disassociation she experienced while being objectified and misunderstood. But instead of letting that pain consume her, she turned it into fuel. She's advocated for mental health awareness, self-care, and the importance of therapy in interviews, subtly shifting her public identity from tabloid fodder to healing advocate. That transparency, rare in a culture obsessed with perfection, resonated with fans who had grown up watching her and now saw her as a mirror for their own struggles. Her willingness to be vulnerable became a strength, not a weakness, proof that true power often begins where the pain is. Stepping into motherhood. While the cameras weren't looking, Meghan was raising 3 sons and embracing a deeply grounded maternal role that contrasted sharply with her Hollywood image. In interviews, she's spoken about how motherhood reshaped her priorities and reminded her of her worth beyond the red carpet. Balancing parenting with the pressure of public life hasn't been easy, but it's added a depth and dimension to her that no role could offer. It's also helped her reclaim time and identity in ways Hollywood rarely allows women to do. In a world that often pits beauty against substance, Meghan has shown that you can raise humans, explore your power, and still command a camera like no one else. For viewers feeling overwhelmed by reinvention, this part of her story offers reassurance. Personal growth is always professional growth. Reframing Jennifer's Body as a feminist classic. At its release in 2009, Jennifer's Body was misunderstood and mistreated. Marketed as a teen horror flick designed to titillate, the film flopped commercially. But more than a decade later, critics began to reevaluate the movie and Meghan's role in it as a cutting-edge commentary on sexual agency, female rage, and media manipulation. Suddenly, the film was a feminist favorite, and Meghan's performance was praised as ahead of its time. Rather than being bitter about its initial failure, she embraced the cultural shift and leaned into her new status as an accidental feminist icon. This reversal wasn't luck, it was long overdue recognition of the nuance she brought to a role that demanded more than beauty. Her journey with Jennifer's Body proves that timing is everything, and sometimes your most misunderstood work becomes your most powerful legacy. Becoming a fashion and beauty music can. In her latest evolution, Megan Fox has emerged as a high-fashion darling and Gen Z muse. She's graced magazine covers, fronted campaigns for luxury brands, and reappeared at the Met Gala looking more commanding than ever. But this wasn't just a glow-up, it was a repositioning. She wasn't playing the Hollywood game anymore. She was leveraging her image, her legacy, and her renewed confidence to step into the fashion world as an empowered creator. Whether in bold streetwear or gothic glam, she now dresses like someone who doesn't need anyone's approval. Her fashion resurgence isn't just about aesthetics, it's about authority. It's a case study in how style, when wielded with intention, can be a form of storytelling and a declaration of independence. From objectified to architect. At the heart of Megan Fox's journey is one monumental shift. She went from being objectified by Hollywood to becoming the architect of her own narrative. No longer cast as the hot girl, she's writing her own rules, choosing her own battles, and defining beauty, femininity, and strength on her own terms. She's moved from spectacle to strategy, from survival to sovereignty. Her story is about bouncing back. It's about leveling up. For anyone who's ever been dismissed, silenced, or underestimated, Megan's rise isn't just inspiring, it's empowering. It's proof that when the world tries to write you off, the most powerful thing you can do is grab the pen back. Hit like, subscribe to stay inspired by stories of resilience and reinvention, and drop a comment sharing what part of Megan's journey felt the most powerful to you. Share this with someone who needs the reminder. Rejection isn't the end. It's often the start of something better.